Welcome everybody to question 2, which is a surds question. So let's briefly go over our surds rule. If we have a surd of a times b, that is exactly the same as the square root of a, or the surd of a, times by the surd of b. And we can times surds together like so, the other way around. A times b. I guess that was kind of intuitive from the first one, but we can also divide surds as such and get the square root of a over b. So with that in mind, let's start with the first one. Let's get rid of that. Good. So the first question, express the root of 48 in the form k root 3. So we already know we're looking for a root of, so something, a, let's call it a, something times by 3. So what's 48 divided by 3? It's 16. So the root of 16 times 3 is the same as the root of 16 times by the root of 3. So what do we do with that? Well, the root of 16 is 4. So 4 root 3. That's our answer. K is equal to 4. Easy 1 mark. Nice starter for the question. So moving on, simplify this big ugly thing, giving your answer as an integer. Well, let's start off by writing it down a little bit more simply, if we can. We just worked out that root 48 is 4 root 3. So 4 root 3 on the top plus 2 lots of the root of 27. Now we're looking for a square number within 27. Well, the only things it's really divisible by is 9 and 3 anyway, and 9 happens to be a square number, so that works out well. Then we go over root 12. Well, 12 we could have 6 and 2, or 12 and 1, which wouldn't make any difference, but 4 and 3 gives us a square number in 4. So let's write that down, 4 times 3. Then our next step can be to start writing it down a little bit more formally. We've got this 9 here. That 9, that becomes a 3 when you take it outside. When you bring it out here, it'll become a 3 because it's the root of 9 is 3. So times that 3 by this 2 here, and we're going to get 6 root 3. 6 root 3, so over, then the 4 comes out here to become a 2, so we get 2 root 3. And then what we can do, which is quite nice, is we can break up that bracket. Not the bracket, break up the fraction, sorry. So we get a 4 root 3 over 2 root 3 plus 6 root 3 over 2 root 3. Basic fraction work. And everything should cancel out. That root 3 and that root 3 will cancel. That root 3 and that root 3 will cancel. So we get left with 4 over 2 plus 6 over 2. Well, that is 2 plus 3, which is equal to 5. That's the answer. So let's go way back up and look for that last one. I'm going to need a lot of space for this, so bear with me while I create some room for myself. Get rid of that and get rid of that piece. Right, so we've got to work out what to do with this one here to get it into a neater form with m and n being integers. So if you look at the denominator of that, let's write it out. 1 minus 5 root 5 over 3 plus root 5. Now if we go, let's take a minute here. If we times, let's say we have a root 5 here, root 5. How do we get that as a kind of real number, a number that's not a surd? Well, if we times it by root 5, then we'll get root 25, which is 5. Root 25, which is 5. So that's how we get rid of a surd on the bottom of a fraction as the denominator. That's how we get rid of that. So you would expect to times it by, let's say, root 5 over 5. But there's a neater way of doing it. What we can do, and you'll see why this works in a minute, is we can times it by 3 minus root 5 over 3 minus root 5. And what that will do is get rid of the usual two middle parts that you have when you times something like this times something like this. A plus b times an a plus b times by c plus d. You normally get 4 terms because there's 4 things there. So you'll get a times c, and you'll get a times d, and you get b times c, and you get b times d. You're going to get 4 things. So instead of getting 4 things here, you'll see in a minute, it will just cancel itself out. So let's times that out then on the top. So we've got on the top 1 times 3 is 3. Hang on. 1 times 3 is 3. Then we have minus root 5 and minus 15 root 5. Don't worry that this looks ugly on the top. It'll all cancel out in a minute. So then plus 25, because obviously root 5 times root 5 is 5, times by this 5 gives us 25. And then on the bottom, we're going to get 3 times 3, which is 9. Then we're going to get 3 times minus root 5, so minus 3 root 5. Then 3 times root 5 plus 3 root 5. And then root 5 times minus root 5, so minus 5 on the end there. So as you can see, these here are going to cancel out. That will equate to 0, which means our denominator is going to be 9 minus 5. So let's group the top. We've got 3 and 25, which is going to give us 28. Minus root 5 minus 15 root 5 is going to be minus 16 root 5. 16 root 5 over 9 minus 5, which is 4. So we can simplify that. Again, you could break it up again. I'm not going to this time because I've just shown you. So 28 over 4 is 7. 16 over, or minus 16 over 4 is 4. So then minus 4 root 5. That is our answer. That's what we were working towards. So hopefully that's been of use to you. I'll see you on the next video.